Welcome to Zodiac Talks Tarot, the little corner of the internet where we treat star maps like field notes, human behavior like a living novel, and money like a teacher that grades on participation. I'm your longtime researcher, equal parts astrologer, social psychologist, literature nerd, and a patient student of Buddhist common sense, and today we are diving into Sagittarius, October 19th to 20th, 2025. A 48-hour window that doesn't hand you a lottery ticket so much as it hands you a mirror and a boarding pass with the gate already open. The theme is simple even if the execution isn't. Pack your bag for millions, which means prepare your mind and schedule for expansion, because the moon sparring politely with Jupiter while Mercury trades bright ideas with Uranus creates a pattern that lights up your relationship with resources, value, and that stubborn belief you carry about what you're allowed to receive. And yes, I know you, Sagittarius, philosopher with frequent flyer miles. You joke that you're manifesting while checking airfare to anywhere the moment life looks repetitive, but the real move this week isn't escape, it's upgrade. Think of Jupiter not as Santa with a credit line but as a professor who gives extra credit only to the student who actually read the fine print, and the fine print here says abundance doesn't coexist with self-contempt, so if a quiet voice inside you mutters that money is corrupting or that rest must be earned with exhaustion, this is the weekend to retire that outdated syllabus, because freedom and security aren't enemies. They're fraternal twins who finally get along when you introduce them at the same dinner table. On the 19th, the moon and Jupiter reflect back not what you wish for but what you believe you deserve, which is why your task isn't to hustle harder but to permit more wisely. The Buddhist way of saying it would be unclench the fist, because a closed hand can't hold new gifts, and if you need a practical ritual, give your desk 10 quiet minutes, remove the old survival clutter. Write one clear sentence about the work you do that genuinely helps people. Put that sentence where your eyes land first thing Monday, not because paper is magical but because your nervous system loves cues, and this weekend is a master class in cues. Mercury and Uranus add sparks in the odd places, the grocery aisle, the ride-share line, the shower you swear always hides your best ideas, so carry a notebook or at least the decency to text yourself, because ideas are like birds, they perch near people who look like they'll listen, and if you keep ignoring them they migrate to someone else's balcony. You may notice restlessness Saturday night, not the dramatic kind that wants to blow up your life, the constructive kind that wants to rearrange a room and finally throw out the broken lamp. That's the energy asking you to admit you've outgrown an old map. Whether it's the job that taught you discipline but starves your spirit, the relationship dynamic where you play the hero and then resent the applause, or the money habits that scream scarcity while you preach abundance, there's a practical distinction here worth repeating. Busyness is motion without meaning, flow is movement with direction. Be suspicious of any plan that fills your calendar but empties your curiosity, because Jupiter rewards alignment more than effort, which means one brave email written with clean intention outruns 100 anxious refreshes of your inbox. If you're wondering what action looks like when it's faithful rather than frantic, try this sequence. 1. Attend to what's already working and make it 10% easier for opportunities to find you. Polish the portfolio link, update the bio so it sounds like a human wrote it. Schedule the call you've postponed because you wanted a perfect pitch. 2. Make one asymmetric bet on yourself, small enough that failure is a lesson not a crisis but large enough that success would materially change your next 3 months. 3. Decouple worth from applause by doing the next right thing. Before your mind starts itemizing imaginary millions or wondering which yacht name sounds classier, breathe. Every grand manifestation begins not with a spreadsheet, but in the quiet economy of your thoughts. The Buddhists have a wonderfully irritating way of reminding us that we do not own what we cling to, we only own what we can release. That's the paradox sitting squarely in your lap, Sagittarius. You want expansion, yet you hoard every ounce of worry like a collector of limited edition anxieties. You want wealth, but you guard your fear of losing it like it's a family heirloom. You claim to trust the process, but you refresh your inbox like a caffeinated day trader waiting for enlightenment in the subject line. The universe, generous as ever, has decided to stage an intervention. This October energy doesn't ask you to hustle harder. It asks you to believe deeper. If you truly want to prepare for abundance, start by behaving like someone who already trusts their ability to handle it. Not by buying a yacht on credit or booking a manifestation retreat in Bali you can't afford, but by quietly recalibrating your self-worth until success no longer feels like an accident. Abundance is not a prize you win for good behavior. It's a rhythm you learn to dance to without tripping over your self-doubt. In psychology, this moment is your internal locus of control being revived, the ancient belief that you can shape your reality by choice, not by circumstance. The planets are essentially returning the keys you once handed over to other people's opinions. Here's the cosmic punchline: when humans finally taste freedom, they panic. We overthink, then immediately attempt to manage our liberation with new cages, colored charts, 12-step plans, 5-year projections. Sagittarius, the stars are begging you to stop filing reports on miracles. For once, move with faith instead of fear. The path ahead is not an audit. It's a pilgrimage. You are one of the chosen ones, not because the universe likes you better, but because you volunteered for the advanced course in courage. The year of triumph 2025 didn't arrive to hand you luxury, it arrived to test your stewardship, your understanding that freedom and responsibility are the same word in two different fonts. The $1 million blessing isn't the goal. It's the side effect of becoming someone ready to receive without panic and to give without resentment. Astrology gives the weather. Psychology gives the map. Behavior provides the engine. You need all three if you want your destination to be more than a daydream. The moon squaring off with Jupiter this week can make even the most grounded Sagittarius start fantasizing about quitting everything to open a vineyard in Tuscany or an eco-resort on Mars. If you've already opened a new browser tab to check flight prices, maybe pause. Manifestation isn't escapism, it's disciplined imagination. Start small, but start. Write the email. Pitch the idea. Post the project that's been aging like fine procrastination in your drafts folder. The universe doesn't respond to perfection. It responds to participation. You don't need to see the entire staircase before taking a step, especially since half the fun for a Sagittarius is improvising the staircase as you go. A real story for context: I once worked with a Sagittarius writer who sat on a brilliant book idea for 5 years. She was waiting for a sign. The sign came as a broken laptop. With deadlines looming, she borrowed her neighbor's ancient typewriter, a thing that sounded like thunder in a library. It forced her to slow down, to commit each sentence before hitting the keys. That manuscript didn't just find a publisher, it found her purpose. The universe, it turns out, has an excellent sense of humor. It often disguises guidance as inconvenience. The delay, the glitch, the missed call you curse might be the GPS rerouting you towards something that actually pays off in meaning and money. There's an enormous difference between being busy and being in flow. Busyness is motion without meaning, a hamster wheel disguised as productivity. Flow is movement aligned with direction. Choose the latter. If you're unsure which mode you're in, check your mood. Busyness feels like adrenaline. Flow feels like oxygen. The goal of this week isn't to do more, it's to move correctly. You've been trained by a culture that confuses burnout with merit. The cosmos is trying to correct that conditioning. And yes, doubt will drop by, as it always does when humans attempt anything new. When it shows up, remember the Buddhist idea of right effort. Effort isn't about force, it's about harmony. You don't rip the seed out of the soil every morning to check if it's growing. You water it, trust it, and walk away. Sagittarius energy thrives when it replaces panic with practice. If you can hold steady through the awkward middle between intention and outcome, you'll discover that faith isn't passive at all. It's active cooperation with timing. You're not being asked to fake confidence. You're being asked to remember what genuine readiness feels like. There's a calm in knowing you're not chasing luck, you're meeting it halfway. Think of wealth not as accumulation but as circulation. Energy flows where openness lives. When you grip too tightly, life stagnates. When you release just enough, things start moving again. It's the same reason laughter attracts people faster than complaints do. Expansion recognizes itself and gravitates toward joy. So laugh. Be ridiculous. Tell the universe you're available for surprises, even the messy ones. Sagittarius, your task this week isn't to conjure miracles out of thin air, it's to stop blocking the ones already trying to reach you. Prepare the inner room by decluttering your mental attic. Trade anxious calculation for curious expectation. Let uncertainty be what it's always been, the invitation to live awake. You don't have to have it all figured out before you begin. You just have to begin, imperfectly and sincerely, trusting that your belief will adjust the coordinates as you move. The art of abundance isn't about adding more, it's about removing resistance. And if that sounds too poetic, here's the practical translation: act like someone who's done apologizing for existing. Make decisions as though your dreams are already in transit. The universe has a fondness for people who stop auditioning for their own lives. So stop auditioning. Take the stage. The spotlight's been on you this whole time. Let's talk about signs, because Sagittarius can turn even an accidental coffee stain into a cosmic omen. You're a seeker by design, addicted to meaning, allergic to boredom, and hopelessly in love with mysteries that can't be solved with Google. So when repeating numbers start flashing across your path, 888 on a license plate, 1920 on the clock, a random invoice total that feels suspiciously intentional, don't panic, and please don't start an ETSE shop selling angel number candles. The universe isn't sending you a coupon code, it's speaking in context. Numbers, patterns, synchronicities, they don't deliver instructions, they deliver reflections. Each one is a mirror showing you where your energy has been hanging out lately. Maybe the number shows up every time you start doubting your worth. Maybe it arrives the minute you commit to something brave. Either way, it's not a prophecy, it's feedback, a gentle nudge from the cosmos saying, pay attention. You're talking, and I'm responding. Color speaks in that same quiet language. It bypasses logic and walks straight into your nervous system, reminding your cells what emotion they're supposed to feel. This weekend, lean into gold, purple, and turquoise. Gold because it's Jupiter's favorite color, it radiates authority without arrogance, confidence without noise. Purple because it carries the vibration of dignity and insight, the kind of self-respect you sometimes confuse with vanity when you're in one of those "am I too much" moods. Turquoise because it grounds that wild Sagittarian momentum that has you chasing 7 dreams before breakfast and forgetting what time zone your soul is in by dinner. Think of color not as decoration but as alignment, a visible cue that trains your mind to stay steady when opportunity starts moving faster than your schedule. And while we're here, let's insert a little humor before we drown in philosophy. You, Sagittarius, are the sign that could schedule a spiritual awakening at 9 a.m., give a TED talk about it by noon, and forget your wallet in the Uber home. You adore adventure but struggle with autopay. You can recite Marcus Aurelius but forget your rent due date. This is what we love about you, the cosmic clown with a philosopher's brain. But money, my friend, is a diva who loves consistency more than charisma. You can't flirt your way into financial freedom. Well, technically you can try, but Venus isn't co-signing your mortgage. The universe is reminding you that abundance has a rhythm, not a pickup line. It requires patience, follow-through, and a sense of humor about your own contradictions. Treat your money the way you treat your ideals, with curiosity, respect, and a refusal to settle for mediocrity. The Year of Triumph 2025 isn't a jackpot waiting to explode in your bank account, it's an era of sustainable expansion, the kind that doesn't burn out your spirit for the sake of applause. If quick wins tempt you, remember that Sagittarius expansion without grounding is just expensive chaos. What's approaching isn't a lucky break, it's a steady unveiling of what you've been cultivating all along, discipline disguised as destiny. Now, let's talk about faith in motion, because every spiritual teacher, from ancient monks to modern neuroscientists, agrees on this one thing: you can't think your way into transformation. You have to move. Thought without action is just daydreaming with better vocabulary. Action, though, is faith wearing shoes. For Sagittarius, faith in motion looks a lot like chaos at first: sending a proposal before it's perfect, launching the podcast when your microphone still sounds like a potato, saying yes to the collaboration you secretly think you're underqualified for. It's that daring decision to replace the safety net of logic with the trampoline of trust. You bounce, you stumble, you fly. That's your process. One of my favorite Buddhist metaphors says you can't cross the river by analyzing the water. At some point, you have to step in. And yes, your shoes will get wet, and no, you won't like it. But staying on the shore, safe and dry, is just another form of spiritual poverty. True abundance doesn't arrive when your vision board looks Instagram worthy, it arrives when you live as though your vision is already breathing beside you. Manifestation isn't a spell, it's a decision. And decision, in the end, is the most spiritual act of all. So ask yourself, what would the millionaire version of me do today? Not someday, not when Mercury stops retrograding, but today. Maybe they'd stop over-explaining their worth. Maybe they'd skip that energy-draining meeting they only attend out of politeness. Maybe they'd finally invest in that course, that partnership, that leap they've been bookmarking for months. Every time you move from wishful thinking to embodied readiness, you become magnetic. Life starts mirroring your energy like a well-trained dog bringing back the ball you finally had the courage to throw. And here's the trick the gurus don't tell you: readiness rarely feels like confidence. It feels like calm curiosity. It's not the roar of certainty but the quiet hum of willingness. The mind loves grand gestures, but the universe loves small, consistent signals. Say yes to one new thing this week, one message, one idea, one connection that feels both exciting and slightly terrifying. That's the texture of divine timing. When you act from that place, synchronicity multiplies. Emails appear. Invitations arrive. The plan starts to make sense only after you've already taken the first step. Sagittarius, your humor is your compass here. When the map gets foggy, and it will, laugh. Laugh at your doubts, at your cosmic timing, at your own impatience. Humor is not avoidance, it's grace disguised as sarcasm. Every time you laugh instead of panic, you reset your vibration to one that the universe can actually hear. That's your real magic trick: optimism with bite, belief with backbone. So pack your curiosity, your audacity, and your irreverent grin, because the signs are already flashing, the river is waiting, and the shoes you're meant to ruin are already on your feet. The rest, as always, begins the moment you step forward. Let's talk about the chosen ones, not as some secret society of enlightened beings floating 3 inches above the floor, but as the ordinary people who finally understand the choreography between ambition and grace. They're not luckier, more gifted, or morally superior, they're simply awake to timing. They've learned that life isn't a competition for cosmic approval but a dance that rewards rhythm over rigidity. The chosen ones know the universe has little interest in perfection, it prefers participation. They see coincidence not as random noise but as choreography, subtle cues moving in sync with a beat only the patient can hear. They don't try to own wealth because they understand it's not meant to be possessed but stewarded, circulated like oxygen so it doesn't suffocate them. This week, Sagittarius, you quietly join their ranks. Not because you've mastered every affirmation on YouTube, but because you've matured. You've finally grasped that success without depth is just exhaustion wearing designer shoes. You stopped chasing validation like a lost dog and started chasing alignment, which, frankly, looks better on you. You used to think luck was random, a benevolent accident that might strike if you kept your fingers crossed and your taxes filed. But now you see that luck is rhythm, a steady pulse that shows up for those who bother to keep tempo. When you stopped sprinting and started listening, the music changed. The year of triumph 2025 is the stage where your philosophy meets your paycheck. You're no longer trying to choose between meaning and money because you've learned they can share the same room without strangling each other. Your ideals are becoming income, your passion is becoming profit. That's not luck, that's integration. The $1 million blessing that everyone talks about isn't sitting in a vault waiting for you to pass a spiritual credit check. It's emotional wealth, the kind that funds your peace, sustains your relationships, and keeps laughter in your daily budget. Once that stabilizes, the material follows behind like an obedient intern holding your coffee. And here's where the cosmic humor kicks in, because the universe always saves its best punchlines for Sagittarius. The moment you stop chasing the money, it starts chasing you. The second you quit auditioning for worthiness, the world starts mirroring it back. Maybe the cosmos itself has your brand of humor, the kind that waits for you to unclench, laugh at yourself, and finally stop pretending you can spreadsheet your way into enlightenment. You don't need to manifest like a maniac, scripting your dreams as if the universe were your unpaid assistant. You just need to listen. Sometimes the sign isn't a thunderclap or a shooting star, it's a random text from a friend, a receipt number matching your birthday, or a memory that returns with suspiciously good timing. Synchronicity is God's way of winking at you without the paperwork of religion. And please, for the sake of your sanity, laugh. Laughter keeps the energy open. When you laugh at fear, fear loses its leverage. When you laugh at your own past mistakes, the universe hears you declare, "I'm done with shame, I'm ready for progress." Your humor is sacred alchemy, Sagittarius. It's what transforms worry into wisdom and chaos into currency. That restless wit of yours, the one that can turn tragedy into a punchline 5 minutes after it happens, is actually your built-in compass. It reminds you that grace doesn't always look solemn. Sometimes it looks like someone snorting with laughter halfway through their meditation because they realized enlightenment doesn't refund parking tickets either. Now take a breath, adventurer. You've listened, reflected, probably rolled your eyes once or twice, which is healthy, it means you're paying attention. Let's end on the truth underneath all the celestial poetry. Your blessing isn't some external miracle dangling like bait. It's already in motion, disguised as opportunity, conversation, curiosity, or that quiet nudge telling you it's time to act. Every disappointment you endured without turning bitter was you tilling the soil. Every not yet that you survived was rain watering the seed. Now, the garden answers. The universe isn't demanding perfection, it's asking for participation. So when the moon opposes Jupiter, when Mercury flirts shamelessly with Uranus, and your intuition starts humming like a live wire, say it out loud, not as superstition, but as ownership. I am ready to receive my $1 million blessing. Then mean it. Don't just type it into a comment section as if it's a password to prosperity. Feel it. Live like it's already unfolding, because it is. Keep your humor sharp, your vision wide, and your trust firm. Remember, you are one of the chosen ones, not because destiny handpicked you from a cosmic raffle, but because you were reckless enough to believe that meaning matters more than mediocrity. You are a wanderer built not to chase miracles but to become one. The year of triumph 2025 isn't coming to rescue you, it's coming to reveal what was already resilient inside you. Every challenge, every detour, every ridiculous plot twist has been part of your training montage, and you're finally entering the part where the background music swells. So go ahead and live. Don't wait for perfect conditions to start the next chapter. The fortune isn't a destination waiting in some distant zip code, it's you alive, aware, irreverent, and unreasonably optimistic despite everything. Take that as your sign to stop postponing joy. Have dinner with people who make you laugh until your ribs hurt. Spend your money on something that reminds you that life is to be experienced, not audited. Walk outside and notice how even the sky seems to stretch wider when you're not rushing through it. And before you click away, here's my invitation: if this message stirred something awake in you, if it reminded you of your capacity to begin again, support this community that keeps these conversations alive. Like the video, share it with another restless soul who could use a reminder that abundance is a mindset, not a miracle, and subscribe to Zodiac Talks Tarot, where we translate astrology into the kind of wisdom that actually survives Monday mornings. Because in the end, the goal isn't to predict your future, it's to teach you how to participate in it with a little more humor, a lot more grace, and the kind of confidence that makes the universe say, finally, they get it. So here's to you, Sagittarius, the philosopher with messy hair, the optimist with a bruised heart, the adventurer who refuses to retire from wonder. Keep your laughter loud, your compass steady, and your coffee strong. Your fortune has already arrived, it's just waiting for you to notice you've become it.